Welcome to a chapter a day. Money is not something you chase. Money is something that already knows where you are. Right now, as you listen to this, supply exists. Opportunity exists. Support exists. The flow is already moving, and it has always been moving toward you. The only question has never been whether abundance is available. The question has always been whether you are allowing what already is. This audiobook is not about forcing success. It is not about grinding harder, proving your worth, or competing for scraps. It is about understanding the law that governs wealth, the same law that governs breath, growth, and gravity. When you align with this law, money becomes natural, provision becomes consistent, and security becomes internal, not external. You will begin to recognize something you may have overlooked. You have never truly been unsupported. You have only been misdirected. As you listen, you are not learning something new. You are remembering what has always been true. There is a rhythm to supply. There is an intelligence behind income. And once you move in harmony with it, lack dissolves, not through effort, but through understanding. Stay present. Let these ideas settle. Because the moment this law becomes clear to you, money stops being a problem and starts being a response. Chapter 1. Supply is already established. Supply is not something that begins when you begin trying. Supply does not wait for permission. Supply does not ask if you are ready. Supply exists first, before effort, before planning, before belief. Wealth is not manufactured by struggle. It is governed by law. Just as electricity flows whether you understand it or not, supply moves whether you recognize it or not. Just as gravity holds you without your cooperation, abundance sustains life without debate. The mistake has never been that supply was absent. The misunderstanding has been assuming it needed to be created. You are not here to invent wealth. You are here to align with what already is. To think richly, refuse to think of money as distant or difficult. Every thought of hardship interrupts your awareness of the system already operating. Replace "I must earn" with "I must align." Alignment is not passive. It is disciplined perception. When you believe money comes from struggle, life mirrors struggle. When you assume supply requires force, reality responds with resistance. But when you recognize that supply is established, pressure dissolves. Look at nature. The tree does not strain to grow leaves. The ocean does not wrestle with waves. The sun does not negotiate its light. Life supplies itself through order, not tension. You were never meant to wrestle with life. You were meant to collaborate with it. Money follows the same principle. It moves through channels. It responds to openness. It accelerates when resistance drops. Think of moments when money arrived unexpectedly. A solution appeared. A door opened. Support emerged from a direction you were not forcing. Those moments were not accidents. They were glimpses of alignment. Pressure did not cause them. Release allowed them. This is why effort alone exhausts while clarity energizes. This is why obsession repels while calm expectation attracts. This is why frantic action blocks what steady awareness invites. Supply does not respond to desperation. It responds to recognition. Say this inwardly, slowly, and without argument. I am not creating supply. I am aligning with it. Say it again, not as hope, but as fact. I am not creating supply. I am aligning with it. When this becomes your operating assumption, your behavior changes. Your posture softens. Your decisions simplify. Your timing improves. You stop forcing outcomes and start positioning yourself correctly. This is not about waiting. It's about discipline. It's about the discipline of refusing to think against the laws that already work in your favor. To think richly, refuse to think of money as scarce, slow, or reluctant. Those thoughts place you in opposition to the system that sustains everything else effortlessly. Instead, observe where supply already moves easily. Look at industries where money circulates naturally. Look at people who operate without desperation. Notice how calm confidence produces opportunities faster than anxiety ever did. These are not lucky people. They are aligned people. They assume movement. They expect response. They trust the system. Expectation is not fantasy. It is orientation. When you expect supply, you notice pathways. When you expect resistance, you notice obstacles. Reality mirrors your stance, not your wishes. This is why the creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. Competition assumes limitation. Creation assumes overflow. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Supply does not diminish when shared. It multiplies when circulated. This is observable. This is practical. This is lawful. Now, here is the behavioral instruction for this chapter. This is where understanding becomes embodiment. For the next 7 days, remove struggle language from your inner dialogue. Do not say, I need money. Say, supply is active. Do not think, this is hard. Think, this is reorganizing. Do not act from urgency. Act from clarity. This is discipline, not emotional discipline. Perceptual discipline. It's about discipline. Each time pressure arises, pause. Pressure is feedback, not command. It signals misalignment, not failure. Return to alignment by remembering the premise. Supply is already established. You do not convince the sun to rise. You do not plead with gravity to hold you. You do not argue with electricity to flow. You align with the socket. You step onto the ground. You open the window. Money works the same way. Channels matter more than force. Position matters more than persistence. Awareness matters more than effort. This is why frantic hustling often produces diminishing returns, and why aligned action compounds results. Alignment feels steady. Alignment feels obvious. Alignment feels cooperative. You were never meant to carry the weight alone. You were meant to move with the system that already carries everything. Say it again, and let it settle deeper now. I am not creating supply. I am aligning with it. This chapter establishes the foundation. If supply already exists, then lack is not a condition. It is a misperception. If wealth is governed by law, then fear is irrelevant. If alignment is the mechanism, then clarity becomes your primary task. You are no longer asking how to force money into your life. You are learning how to stop blocking what is already there. And once this is understood, everything else becomes easier to recognize. You now see that supply is stable. The next question becomes personal. If supply is established, then what determines how it shows up for you? You've recognized the system. Now it's time to understand your place within it. Chapter 2. You are not separate from abundance. Lack does not come from absence. It comes from distance, not physical distance, perceptual distance, the belief that abundance is somewhere else, that money belongs to others, that opportunity exists outside your reach. This belief is subtle, and it is powerful. It does not shout. It whispers. It says, one day. It says, when I'm ready. It says, after I prove myself. And with every one of those thoughts, you step outside the flow. The root illusion behind lack is separation. The idea that life is happening to you instead of through you. The idea that wealth circulates around you instead of including you. The idea that you must cross a threshold before you are allowed to receive. But supply does not recognize these boundaries. Only the mind does. The river does not ask which drop deserves to move. The air does not select which lungs are worthy. Circulation is inclusive by nature. Money operates the same way. To think richly, refuse to think of yourself as an outsider to the flow. Every thought of exclusion delays recognition. Every thought of not yet reinforces distance. Replace observation with participation. Say it clearly now. I am within the flow, not outside of it. Say it again, without emotion, without effort. I am within the flow, not outside of it. Most people do not block abundance through action. They block it through posture. They stand at the edge of life watching others receive. They analyze instead of engage. They wait to be invited. But abundance does not issue invitations. It responds to inclusion. When you see yourself as separate, you behave cautiously. You hesitate. You second-guess. You delay. And life mirrors that hesitation. Real-world examples reveal this pattern again and again. Someone applies for opportunities beneath their capacity because they assume higher levels are not for them. Someone underprices their work because they feel grateful just to participate. Someone waits for permission that never arrives. Then something shifts. Not externally. Internally. They stop asking if they belong. They assume inclusion. And suddenly, conversations change. Responses arrive faster. Doors open without force. Nothing mystical occurred. Nothing external changed. Only position. They moved from observer to participant. They stopped placing abundance on a pedestal. They stepped into circulation. This is why identity precedes income. Not skill. Not effort. Identity. If you identify as someone adjacent to wealth, you will orbit it without contact. If you identify as someone within the flow, you will interact with it naturally. This is not arrogance. This is accuracy. The universe does not reward humility that denies truth. It responds to alignment. You were not placed outside life and told to earn entry. You were placed inside a system that already functions. You were never meant to ask, "Can I have?" You were meant to recognize, "This moves through me." The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It assumes access. Competition assumes separation. Creation assumes inclusion. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Because fear says, "There isn't enough for me." Creation says, "There is more than enough through me." This is why collaboration outperforms isolation. Why contribution accelerates income. Why generosity often precedes expansion. These are not moral rewards. They are structural responses. Circulation increases circulation. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of belonging. For the next 7 days, remove outsider language from your thinking. Do not say, "People like me don't usually." Say, "I move where value moves." Do not think, "That level is beyond me." Think, "That level is familiarizing itself with me." Do not wait to be chosen. Choose participation. When you enter a conversation, enter as someone who belongs there. When you price your work, price it as someone in circulation. When you imagine your future, imagine from inside the scene, not watching it. This is not visualization. This is orientation. Orientation determines behavior. Behavior determines response. Life does not ask if you feel worthy. It responds to where you stand. Stand inside the flow. Say it again, and let it stabilize. I am within the flow, not outside of it. Separation collapses when you stop reinforcing it. And when separation collapses, speed increases. Opportunities recognize familiarity. Money recognizes confidence without strain. Support recognizes openness. This is why people who suddenly receive were never actually waiting. They were repositioning. They stopped negotiating their place. They assumed it. You were never meant to stand on the sidelines of your own life. You were meant to collaborate with it. And collaboration requires presence. Now you understand something essential. If supply is already established, and you are not separate from abundance, then the remaining factor is awareness. Not effort, not hustle, not force. Awareness. Because money responds to what you recognize. And recognition is the next law to understand. You have stepped into the flow. Now learn how to direct it. Chapter 3. Money responds to recognition. Money does not move randomly. It moves responsively. It responds before it arrives. It answers before it appears. It follows recognition. What you consistently recognize expands in your experience. This is not philosophy. This is observable law. Look at anything that grows in your life. Relationships, skills, confidence. They expand where attention rests. Money is no exception. The misunderstanding is thinking money responds to desire. It does not. Money responds to acknowledgement. To think richly, refuse to think of money as something that must be hunted or convinced. Every thought of chasing places money ahead of you. Replace "I need money" with "I notice value." Attention is the silent currency. Before money changes hands, attention already has. Before income increases, awareness has already shifted. Before opportunity materializes, recognition has already occurred. You do not get what you want. You get what you consistently notice. Most people train their attention on absence. They notice bills. They notice delays. They notice what is missing. And life responds accurately. Because recognition is instruction. When you acknowledge struggle, struggle becomes familiar. When you acknowledge scarcity, scarcity stabilizes. Not as punishment, as reflection. Say this calmly. What I acknowledge acknowledges me. Say it again slower. What I acknowledge acknowledges me. This is why two people can be in the same economy and experience completely different financial realities. One notices constraints. The other notices channels. One sees obstacles. The other sees signals. Recognition determines interpretation. Interpretation determines response. Response determines results. Money flows toward where it is already being mentally received. This is why gratitude works, not as politeness, but as confirmation. Gratitude says, "I see what is already working," and what is seen strengthens. But this goes deeper than gratitude. It is about where your awareness lives. If your awareness is trained on cost, you experience expense. If your awareness is trained on value, you experience exchange. If your awareness is trained on contribution, you experience compensation. This is discipline. It's about discipline. The discipline of directing attention intentionally. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It notices possibility before proof. Competition focuses on what others have. Creation focuses on what is forming. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Ideas are invitations, but only when they are recognized as such. Think of moments when money moved quickly in your life. There was clarity. There was focus. There was certainty. Your attention was undivided. Money accelerates in environments of clear recognition. This is why distracted effort produces little, and focused awareness produces momentum. Attention organizes reality. Where attention goes, structure follows. Now here is the practical instruction for this chapter. For the next 7 days, train your recognition deliberately. Each morning, identify 3 financial movements already occurring. Income you receive. Value you create. Support you notice. Do not exaggerate. Observe accurately. You are not pretending abundance exists. You are acknowledging where it already moves. During the day, when you encounter money, spending it, earning it, seeing it, pause internally and acknowledge circulation. Say inwardly, "This is movement. This is flow. This is response." This retrains your nervous system. It teaches your mind to recognize motion instead of resistance. Because money does not respond to force. It responds to familiarity. What you are familiar with mentally becomes normal experientially. This is why some people remain uncomfortable receiving larger amounts. Their recognition has not expanded. Their awareness still registers too much. So money respects that boundary. Recognition sets the threshold. This is not about convincing yourself you are rich. It is about noticing richness where it already exists. Skill is richness. Insight is richness. Access is richness. Connection is richness. Money is the visible echo of invisible recognition. Say it again now firmly. What I acknowledge acknowledges me. When you acknowledge value in yourself, opportunity reflects it. When you acknowledge value in others, collaboration emerges. When you acknowledge value in moments, momentum builds. This is why appreciation accelerates income faster than criticism ever could. Criticism contracts attention. Appreciation expands it. You were never meant to wrestle with life. You were meant to collaborate with it. Collaboration begins with noticing. And noticing is power. You are not asking money to come. You are showing money where you are ready to receive it. This chapter completes an important circuit. Supply is established. You are within the flow. And money responds to recognition, which means the next step is inevitable. If recognition shapes response, then the quality of your recognition determines the ease of your experience. And that brings us to the next refinement. Because effort does not create flow. Alignment does. You've trained your awareness. Now you learn how to move without resistance. Chapter 4. Effort does not create flow. Alignment does. Effort is not the enemy. But effort without alignment is exhaustion. Alignment produces results with ease. Not laziness. Ease. There is a difference. When effort leads, life resists. When alignment leads, life responds. This is not theory. This is pattern. Look closely at your own experience. Think of times you worked harder than ever and gained very little. Long hours, constant pressure, minimal return. Then think of times when things clicked. One conversation changed everything. One decision unlocked momentum. One idea opened multiple doors. The difference was not effort. The difference was alignment. Effort says, I must push. Alignment says, I must position. To think richly, refuse to believe that struggle is proof of progress. Every thought that equates pain with payoff conditions you to resist ease. Replace, I must try harder, with I must align better. Alignment feels different in the body. It feels calm. It feels obvious. It feels timely. Say this now. Ease is a sign I am aligned. Say it again without apology. Ease is a sign I am aligned. Many people distrust ease. They believe if it feels smooth, it must be temporary or undeserved. So they sabotage it with overthinking. They add complexity. They reintroduce pressure. And flow stops. Because ease is not fragile. Resistance is. Ease is the system working with you. Consider business examples. A company forces expansion before demand stabilizes. It grows fast and collapses faster. Another company responds to organic demand. It scales naturally. It compounds. Same effort. Different alignment. Consider careers. Someone chases promotions out of fear. They burn out. They resent success. Someone follows clarity. They accept roles that match their strengths. Opportunities stack effortlessly. Effort did not separate these outcomes. Alignment did. Alignment is when action and timing agree. You are not meant to drag opportunity forward. You are meant to meet it where it is already forming. This is why desperation repels, and calm confidence attracts. Money recognizes steadiness. It avoids volatility. Effort driven by fear creates volatility. Alignment rooted in clarity creates stability. The creative mind understands this. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It does not rush. It responds. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear accelerates effort. Creation refines alignment. This is why inspired action feels lighter but produces more, and frantic action feels heavy but produces little. Ease is not absence of movement. Ease is absence of resistance. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of listening for alignment before acting. Before committing, pause. Before forcing, observe. Before pushing, ask one question. Does this feel steady or strained? Strain is information. It is not a command. Strain says something is misaligned. Ease says the channel is open. This does not mean you avoid challenge. It means you avoid friction that comes from ignoring signals. Alignment may still require courage, but it does not require self-betrayal. Courage feels expansive. Resistance feels contractive. Learn the difference. For the next 7 days, notice where effort drains you. Notice where effort energizes you. Energy is feedback. Where energy increases, alignment exists. Where energy collapses, correction is needed. Do not judge this. Measure it. This is not emotional. It is mechanical. You were never meant to wrestle with life. You were meant to collaborate with it. Collaboration feels cooperative. It feels responsive. It feels efficient. Say it again now, and let your nervous system register it. Ease is a sign I am aligned. When alignment becomes your priority, productivity reorganizes itself. You do less and receive more. You speak less and are heard more. You move slower and arrive faster. This is not magic. It is mechanics. Effort is fuel. Alignment is direction. Fuel without direction burns out. Direction with fuel compounds. This chapter shifts your operating principle. You stop asking, how hard should I work? You start asking, where am I aligned? And once alignment is established, effort becomes elegant. But there is another refinement, because even aligned action responds to one internal signal more than any other. Expectation. Not hope. Expectation. And expectation shapes outcome. You've learned to recognize flow. Now learn how to anticipate it correctly. Chapter 5. Expectation shapes outcome. Expectation is not wishful thinking. Expectation is orientation. It is the quiet assumption you carry into every moment. It is the emotional posture that speaks before you do. It is the signal life reads first. Calm expectation signals readiness to receive. Not urgency. Not hope. Not demand. Readiness. When you expect struggle, your body braces. Your voice tightens. Your timing shortens. When you expect good, your system relaxes. Your perception widens. Your responses improve. To think richly, refuse to treat good outcomes as rare or surprising. Every thought that says, I hope this works, implies doubt. Replace hope with certainty. Replace waiting with expectation. Say this now calmly. I expect good because good is normal. Say it again as a statement of fact. I expect good because good is normal. This is not optimism. This is alignment with how systems actually work. Look at people who consistently receive support. They do not rush. They do not beg. They do not over-explain. They assume response. They send the email and expect it to be read. They make the offer and expect interest. They show up and expect to belong. And support appears, not because they are special, because they are oriented correctly. Examples are everywhere. Someone assumes their idea has value, so they present it clearly. Funding follows clarity. Someone assumes their time matters, so they set boundaries. Respect follows expectation. Someone assumes help is available, so they ask directly. Assistance follows openness. Expectation precedes experience. Those who wait for proof before expecting support wait indefinitely. Those who expect support notice proof everywhere. Expectation is the bridge. Calm expectation does not rush outcomes. It allows them. This is why impatience delays results. Impatience communicates mistrust. Money responds to trust. Opportunity responds to steadiness. This is not moral. It is mechanical. Life mirrors your default assumption. If your assumption is something will go wrong, life complies. If your assumption is this will work out, life adjusts. Not instantly, accurately. The creative mind understands this. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It expects response. Competition fears rejection. Creation assumes reception. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fearful expectation scans for threat. Calm expectation scans for alignment. Your nervous system leads your outcomes. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of stabilizing expectation. For the next 7 days, monitor your inner assumptions before action. Before a conversation, notice what you expect. Before a transaction, notice what you assume. Before a decision, notice your default narrative. Then adjust it deliberately. Do not inflate. Normalize. Instead of thinking, I hope they say yes, think, this is a reasonable exchange. Instead of thinking, this might fail, think, this unfolds appropriately. Expectation should feel steady, not emotional. You are not convincing yourself. You are setting orientation. When expectation stabilizes, behavior becomes confident without effort. Your tone improves. Your timing improves. Your presence improves. People respond to this immediately. Support likes clarity. Money likes predictability. Opportunity likes calm readiness. Say it again now, and let it land deeper. I expect good because good is normal. This chapter completes another internal shift. You no longer approach life cautiously. You approach it cooperatively. You do not brace for impact. You assume balance. And when expectation aligns with law, results follow naturally. Now something else becomes obvious. If good is normal, if supply is established, if alignment creates ease, then there is no need to compete. Competition only exists when you believe something must be taken. But creation reveals something else entirely. You've stabilized your expectation. Now it's time to upgrade your strategy. Chapter 6. The creative mind attracts. The competitive mind repels. Competition begins with fear. Creation begins with clarity. Competition asks, who has what I want? Creation asks, what wants to come through me? These are not mindsets. They are operating systems. Creation multiplies value. Competition contracts it. Competition assumes limitation. Creation assumes expansion. And life responds accordingly. To think richly, refuse to believe that value must be taken from others. Every thought that compares places you in scarcity. Replace comparison with contribution. Say this now, calmly and firmly. There is room for me because creation is infinite. Say it again, without hesitation. There is room for me because creation is infinite. The competitive mind watches others closely. It measures itself constantly. It reacts. Reaction is expensive. It consumes energy. It narrows focus. And money avoids narrow systems. Money moves toward environments where value increases, not where it is defended. This is why rivalry exhausts while collaboration compounds. Look at real-world scenarios. Two professionals in the same industry compete for the same clients. They undercut each other. Prices drop. Stress rises. Then one shifts. Instead of competing, they collaborate. They combine strengths. They serve larger clients. Revenue expands. Nothing was taken. Something was created. Another example. A creator guards ideas out of fear. They stagnate. Another shares freely, collaborates openly, builds networks. Opportunities multiply. Visibility attracts income. Isolation repels it. Competition shrinks the field. Creation enlarges it. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It trusts expansion. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear attracts resistance. Ideas attract resources. This is why collaborative businesses outgrow combative ones. Why open ecosystems outperform closed systems. Why generosity often precedes scale. This is not philosophy. This is economics. Creation introduces new value into the system. Competition redistributes existing value. Money prefers growth over redistribution. Ask yourself this honestly. Are you trying to win, or are you trying to build? Winning ends. Building continues. Creation does not rush. It iterates. Competition obsesses over speed. Creation focuses on depth. Depth compounds. Now here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of releasing comparison. For the next 7 days, notice where competition enters your thinking. Notice when you compare timelines. Notice when you measure success against others. Notice when someone else's gain feels threatening. Pause immediately. Replace the thought with creation. Ask instead, what can I build that did not exist before? What value can I add that is uniquely mine? This redirects energy instantly. Then look for collaboration opportunities. Who complements your skills? Who shares your values? Who expands the field instead of shrinking it? Reach out without agenda. Share ideas. Offer value. Creation invites response. Competition demands it. This shift alone unlocks income streams people spend years chasing. Because money follows leverage. And leverage comes from connection. Say it again now, and let it settle as truth. There is room for me because creation is infinite. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not blocked. You are simply choosing how to relate to value. Creation feels spacious. Competition feels tight. Life mirrors whichever you choose. This chapter completes another internal upgrade. You stop scanning for threats. You start scanning for possibilities. And when your mind creates space, money fills it naturally. But creation still requires one essential ingredient: direction. Ideas multiply when they are clear. Value expands when vision sharpens. You've left competition behind. Now it's time to give creation a target. Chapter 7. Money moves toward clarity. Money is not random. It is directional. It responds to what is clear. Vague desire is invisible. Precision is magnetic. Clear intention creates clear channels. Confusion produces friction. Focus produces flow. To think richly, refuse to treat money as a mist to chase. Every scattered thought reduces access. Replace "I want money" with "I intend to move value in this form." Say this now. Clarity is currency. Say it again, firmly, with certainty. Clarity is currency. When your vision is precise, opportunity can recognize it. When your desire is fuzzy, life hesitates. Clarity acts as a signal. Notice how a business succeeds with a defined product. It is not the effort that drives sales. It is the precision of what is offered. Vague offerings confuse the market. Precise offerings attract customers effortlessly. Money follows certainty. Look at careers. Someone says, "I want a good job." They send resumes blindly. They network without direction. Response is slow. Results are minimal. Someone says, "I will serve these clients with this exact skill at this exact value." They position themselves clearly. They speak with confidence. They are noticed. They are chosen. Clarity removes resistance. It accelerates reception. It organizes energy. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It communicates exactly what it is offering. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Vagueness mirrors fear. Precision mirrors trust. This is why financial results are rarely proportional to effort alone. They are proportional to clarity. Ask yourself, is my goal precise? Is my intention unambiguous? Does my vision invite response, or does it wander? Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of defining what you want so clearly that the system cannot ignore it. For the next 7 days, practice precision in 3 ways. Write it down specifically. Do not write, I want more money. Write, I will receive $X by providing Y value in Z time frame. Visualize the form. See the path, the exchange, the steps. Notice the channels clearly. Communicate it unambiguously. Speak confidently to partners, clients, or colleagues. Do not hedge or soften. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. The universe understands clarity better than words. Reinforce this daily. Clarity is currency. Clarity is currency. Clarity is currency. The nervous system registers repetition. Momentum builds. Opportunity recognizes precision. Even small financial movements respond. Small investments multiply when attention is clear. Small offers gain traction when delivery is precise. Vagueness is neutral. Clarity is catalytic. Real-world examples reinforce this. Entrepreneurs with a clear offer scale rapidly. Freelancers who define exact services receive clients faster. Investors who define exact targets achieve predictable results. It is not luck. It is law. Money moves toward clarity, and your own mind mirrors this. Confused thinking produces scattered action. Focused thinking produces decisive action. Decisive action attracts resources. The creative mind is always precise. It does not apologize for specificity. It does not hedge. It moves in direction, not in circles. When you speak and act with clarity, every step aligns. Every interaction signals readiness. Every opportunity recognizes your orientation. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer hoping. You are directing. Say it again with certainty. Clarity is currency. This chapter completes a critical layer. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. And now, you direct it precisely. The next step is equally vital, because even precise action fails without consistent internal belief. Direction must be paired with trust. Belief is the amplifier. You've created the channel. Now learn how to energize it fully. Chapter 8. Gratitude stabilizes supply. Gratitude is not politeness. It is not a gesture. It is not something you reserve for special occasions. Gratitude is confirmation. It confirms that what already exists is visible. It confirms that supply is active. It confirms that the channels of abundance are open. Life responds to confirmation, not to worry, not to force, not to hope. Confirmation. When you notice what is working, what is moving, what is circulating, the system stabilizes. The nervous system relaxes. The mind registers abundance. The universe mirrors your observation. To think richly, refuse to treat gratitude as optional. Every thought of complaint or lack blocks the flow. Replace, I wish I had, with I notice I have. Say this now. What I value stays with me. Say it again deliberately. What I value stays with me. The law is simple. What you acknowledge endures. What you value multiplies. What you appreciate expands. This is why real-world examples always point to the same pattern. Someone begins a business, focused solely on growth. They chase numbers obsessively. Revenue is volatile. Stress is high. Then they shift. They track what is already working. They express appreciation for each client, each interaction, each step. Revenue stabilizes. Momentum compounds. Clients return. Not because magic intervened, because recognition reinforces flow. A freelancer notices every contract they secure, every referral, every testimonial. They reinforce it mentally and emotionally. Their income stabilizes. Opportunities accelerate. Gratitude is a signal. It tells the system, this channel is active. Keep it open. Notice that this works internally first. Your nervous system responds to gratitude before anything external changes. You move differently. You act differently. You respond differently. This is why people who are consistently grateful never panic about lack. They feel calm. They feel steady. They feel connected. The creative mind understands this. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It notices value continuously. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear contracts attention. Gratitude expands it. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of noticing what already works. The discipline of counting what flows naturally. The discipline of appreciating before receiving more. For the next 7 days, practice this deliberately. Every morning, identify 5 things that are moving in your life. 5 channels that are already open. 5 small successes, visible or invisible. Say inwardly, what I value stays with me. Throughout the day, repeat it each time you encounter supply. Every payment, every connection, every solution. This is not ritual. This is mechanics. Each acknowledgement reinforces flow. Each observation signals availability. Each statement of gratitude expands momentum. Do not reserve gratitude for milestones. Reserve it for the present, for now, for what is active. Notice the subtle difference. When you focus on what is missing, you create scarcity. When you focus on what is present, you create stability. Money respects stability. Opportunity responds to clarity. Support recognizes steady acknowledgement. Say it again now. What I value stays with me. This chapter solidifies another layer of abundance. Supply is already established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. And now you stabilize it with gratitude. Gratitude does not chase. Gratitude consolidates. Gratitude multiplies. You no longer fear interruption. You no longer assume instability. You operate from steady recognition. The next step is refinement. Because even stabilized supply must be directed intentionally. Even gratitude must be paired with focused action. Direction amplifies stability. You've anchored abundance in awareness. Now you will learn how to direct it consistently. Chapter 9. You were never meant to do this alone. You were never meant to do this alone. Not life, not wealth, not success. Abundance is inherently social. It flows through networks, systems, and connections. It multiplies when it is shared. It stabilizes when it is recognized collectively. Isolation is a misunderstanding, not a requirement, not a measure of strength. It is simply misalignment. Support systems exist naturally. They are embedded in life's design. They are channels of supply you cannot create alone. And when you acknowledge them, they respond immediately. To think richly, refuse to imagine that every challenge must be faced in solitude. Every thought of, I must handle this myself, delays the appearance of assistance. Replace it with, support meets me naturally. Say it now calmly like fact. Support meets me naturally. Say it again and let it sink. Support meets me naturally. Look at the patterns around you. Notice how help often arrives at the precise moment it is needed. The right person, the right advice, the right opportunity. Coincidence? No. It is law. Consider real-world examples. A business owner faces an unexpected challenge. They assume they must solve it alone. Stress rises. Progress stalls. Then they pause. They acknowledge, I am not alone in this. They ask for guidance. Connections appear. Solutions arrive. Momentum resumes. Someone else prepares to launch a project. They recognize their limits. They invite collaboration. The right partner steps in. Resources flow. Results accelerate. This is how the universe operates. Support is not scarce. It is constant. It is waiting to be recognized. Most people fail to receive support because they block it with pride. They believe independence equals power. They believe asking is weakness. They believe struggle validates effort. But independence without support is not power. It is friction. It is exhaustion. It is delayed results. Support multiplies speed. Support expands reach. Support stabilizes supply. Say it again. Support meets me naturally. The creative mind understands this. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It accepts help gracefully. It invites collaboration confidently. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear says, I must do this alone. Creation says, I accept what flows to me. This is why abundance accelerates when support is acknowledged. Not after struggle. Not after proving worth. Immediately. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of noticing help. The discipline of opening space for guidance. The discipline of inviting collaboration without hesitation. For the next 7 days, practice this consciously. When a challenge arises, pause before acting. Ask, where is the support that already exists for this? Who or what is available to help? Notice the response. Notice how often it appears naturally. Notice how effortless it becomes when you stop resisting help. Say it inwardly with each acknowledgement. Support meets me naturally. Every message, every conversation, every opportunity is a channel. Support does not have to be forced. It responds to readiness. It responds to recognition. It responds to calm expectation. You were never meant to wrestle with life. You were meant to collaborate with it. You are not alone in your pursuit. You never have been. You never will be. This chapter completes a critical awareness. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. And now, you accept support effortlessly. The next step is inevitable. Once you allow support, the system begins to accelerate naturally. Momentum compounds. Connections multiply. Flow becomes unstoppable. You've positioned yourself inside life's channels. Now it's time to master the ultimate amplifier. Chapter 10. Identity determines income. Income is not just numbers. Income is a reflection. It reflects your self-concept, not your potential, not your effort, your self-concept. The world pays you according to who you know yourself to be, not who you wish you were, not who others say you could be, but who you consciously and consistently recognize yourself as being. To think richly, refuse to separate your value from your identity. Every thought that says, I'm not ready, or I don't deserve, blocks the natural movement of wealth. Replace it with, I am fully aligned with who I am, and income flows naturally from this. Say it now. I earn in harmony with who I know myself to be. Say it again, slowly and deliberately. I earn in harmony with who I know myself to be. Look at real-world examples. Someone has tremendous skill, but believes deep down they are not worthy of high compensation. Clients sense this. Offers remain small. Opportunities stall. Another person with identical skill fully owns their worth. They communicate confidently. They ask appropriately. They receive abundantly. The difference is identity. Money does not respond to talent alone. Money responds to clarity about who you are. Money responds to alignment with self-concept. Your earnings are a mirror. Notice how identity shapes choices. If you identify as a beginner, you price like a beginner. If you identify as a leader, you charge like a leader. If you identify as a collaborator, you attract partnerships. This is not luck. This is law. Identity determines income. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It knows its value. It does not underprice. It does not hesitate. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fearful identity contracts income. Confident identity expands it. Ask yourself, who do I allow myself to be? How do I show up? What does my presence communicate about my worth? Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of consciously aligning daily actions with your highest self-concept. For the next 7 days, notice where your self-concept misaligns with opportunity. Every time you hesitate on pricing, delay a project, or minimize your value, pause. Ask, does this action match who I know myself to be? Adjust immediately. Speak inwardly. I earn in harmony with who I know myself to be. Your identity is already sufficient. Your skill is already sufficient. Your clarity about yourself is sufficient. Income follows naturally. It is a mirror. It is a reflection of self-perception. This is why mindset shifts precede financial shifts. Change your identity first. Action flows naturally afterward. Compensation aligns automatically. Even the timing of opportunity mirrors identity. You do not attract what you desire blindly. You attract what matches your self-concept. The creative mind acts confidently because identity is whole. The competitive mind acts from lack because identity is fragmented. Your task is simple. Own yourself fully. Claim your value entirely. Act in alignment with your inner recognition. Say it again now. I earn in harmony with who I know myself to be. This chapter consolidates another layer of abundance. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. You accept support effortlessly. And now, you earn in harmony with your identity. The next refinement is subtle but powerful, because even aligned identity requires conscious attention to mental patterns. Every thought about money, value, or exchange reinforces or undermines what you earn. You've anchored self-concept. Now it's time to align perception fully. Chapter 11. Relaxation signals trust. Tension is a signal, not a motivator, not a badge of effort. It is a signal. Tension communicates doubt. It tightens the body. It narrows perception. It constricts opportunity. Relaxation communicates readiness. It opens channels. It signals trust. It aligns you with the natural movement of supply. To think richly, refuse to equate tension with productivity. Every thought that says, I must push harder, worry more, control more, interrupts the flow. Replace it with, I am ready. I am present. I allow supply to meet me. Say it now calmly and firmly. I allow money to meet me. Say it again with awareness in your body. I allow money to meet me. Consider how tension operates in daily life. When you are anxious about a payment, opportunity tightens. When you rush, mistakes increase. When you strain, doors close. Now consider moments of release. You pause. You breathe. You trust. A solution appears. A conversation opens. An opportunity presents itself. Real-world examples confirm this law. A founder faces a critical decision under immense pressure. They stop forcing, they pause, they breathe. They relax into readiness. The right investor calls. The deal closes. A consultant worries about securing a client. They release the need to convince or chase. They allow presence and confidence to guide them. The client initiates the next conversation. Relaxation signals trust to the universe, and the universe always responds to trust. Notice the body's response. When you release, energy expands. When you release, clarity emerges. When you release, alignment strengthens. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It pauses, it breathes, it trusts, and supply moves to meet it. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear and tension push against flow. Relaxation opens doors. Fear constricts channels. Calm expectation and trust expand them. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of conscious release. The discipline of allowing presence to guide action. The discipline of signaling readiness without forcing. For the next 7 days, practice this deliberately. Whenever you feel pressure, pause. Notice the contraction in your body. Breathe. Say inwardly, I allow money to meet me. Notice the shift. Notice how clarity emerges. Notice how aligned action becomes effortless. Even small moments of relaxation create measurable effects. A calm tone attracts response. A confident pause opens dialogue. A steady posture signals readiness. Money respects calm. Opportunity recognizes steadiness. Supply accelerates when you stop fighting it. Say it again now, letting the body register the truth. I allow money to meet me. Relaxation is not passivity. It is active alignment. It is intentional trust. It is a magnet for flow. This chapter deepens your connection to abundance. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. You accept support effortlessly. You earn in harmony with identity. And now, you signal readiness through relaxation. The next refinement is essential, because even readiness requires direction. Even trust needs focus. Even relaxation must be paired with clarity of vision. You have prepared the mind. You have prepared the body. Now it is time to amplify flow through precise mental focus. Chapter 12. Consistency comes from inner stability. Consistency is not effort. Consistency is not willpower. Consistency is not forcing results. Consistency comes from inner stability. Emotional steadiness is the engine behind reliable outcomes. When the mind is calm, the system responds predictably. When the mind wavers, the flow of supply mirrors that uncertainty. To think richly, refuse to allow emotional turbulence to dictate your results. Every thought that swings between fear and hope produces fluctuation. Replace it with, I remain steady, and supply reflects that steadiness. Say it now. I remain steady, and supply reflects that steadiness. Say it again, letting it settle into your awareness. I remain steady, and supply reflects that steadiness. Notice how inconsistency usually manifests. You feel pressure when money doesn't appear immediately. You react to scarcity, even if it is temporary. You shift focus from creation to worry. These reactions are natural, but unnecessary. Stories confirm the law of inner stability. A small business owner faces fluctuating revenue. They panic when a large client delays payment. Cash flow feels unstable. Stress rises. Then they shift focus inward. They stabilize emotionally. They trust supply is constant. Revenue stabilizes. Momentum resumes. Opportunities become predictable. Another example. An investor notices market swings. They react emotionally, chasing highs, fearing lows. Performance suffers. When they shift to emotional steadiness, decisions are calmer. Returns normalize. Growth compounds. Stability within produces stability without. Your inner state dictates the reflection you receive from life. Supply always mirrors your center. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It remains centered. It remains present. It maintains alignment with the natural flow. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear creates spikes. Stability creates smooth expansion. Anxiety contracts. Confidence multiplies. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of maintaining emotional equilibrium. The discipline of responding to circumstances without being reactive. The discipline of anchoring daily practice in calm awareness. For the next 7 days, practice this intentionally. When you notice a fluctuation in income, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself, I remain steady, and supply reflects that steadiness. Notice how it shifts perception. Notice how calm responses attract more reliable outcomes. Notice how steady attention produces compounding results. Even small financial movements respond. Regular acknowledgement of flow produces cumulative momentum. Predictable action produces predictable rewards. Say it again now, letting your nervous system register the truth. I remain steady, and supply reflects that steadiness. Steadiness does not mean passivity. It does not mean ignoring opportunities. It means acting from a center that is unmoved by short-term fluctuations. This chapter consolidates another layer of abundance. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. You accept support effortlessly. You earn in harmony with identity. You allow supply through relaxation. And now, your inner stability generates consistent results. The next refinement is subtle but transformative, because consistency requires alignment with your highest purpose. Steadiness is amplified when paired with clarity of intention. You have anchored flow internally. You have prepared your mind, body, and emotions. Now it is time to activate clarity in every action. Chapter 13. Receiving is a skill. Receiving is not optional. Receiving is not secondary to giving. Receiving is a skill. Many people block abundance by over-identifying with giving. They give endlessly. They help generously. They create value effortlessly. Yet when supply comes back, they hesitate. They shrink. They undervalue themselves. They stop the flow. To think richly, refuse to allow pride or discomfort to interrupt the return of abundance. Every thought of guilt or undeserving weakens the system. Replace it with, I receive easily and without guilt. Say it now. I receive easily and without guilt. Say it again, letting it sink fully. I receive easily and without guilt. Receiving completes the circuit. Giving without receiving is incomplete. Supply cannot circulate if it is blocked at the return. Energy, money, opportunity, they all require a full loop. Notice real-world examples. A coach invests time and resources into clients. They pour value generously. They struggle to charge appropriately. Payments are delayed or inconsistent. They feel exhausted. When they learn to receive, everything shifts. They price confidently. They accept payments gracefully. They allow praise, recognition, and abundance to enter. The flow becomes effortless. Energy compounds. Another example. A creative offers ideas freely in collaboration. They hesitate to accept support, opportunities, or credit. Projects stagnate. Then they consciously practice receiving. They accept support, recognition, and resources without resistance. Momentum multiplies. Receiving is an active, conscious choice. It requires awareness. It requires practice. It requires trust. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It receives fully. It acknowledges value returning to it. It allows the natural circuit of supply to complete. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear contracts. Receiving expands. Pride blocks. Grace opens. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of noticing opportunities to receive. The discipline of accepting without apology. The discipline of recognizing the value returning to you as part of the system, not as a debt or burden. For the next 7 days, practice this deliberately. Whenever something comes to you, payment, praise, advice, opportunity, pause. Breathe. Say inwardly, I receive easily and without guilt. Notice the subtle shift in energy. Notice how receptivity accelerates supply. Notice how relationships, opportunities, and resources multiply when you fully accept them. Receiving is not weakness. It is not entitlement. It is a recognition of law. Energy moves freely only when both giving and receiving are acknowledged. Say it again now, letting it resonate fully. I receive easily and without guilt. This chapter integrates another layer of abundance. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. You accept support effortlessly. You earn in harmony with identity. You allow supply through relaxation. You remain steady, producing consistent flow. And now you receive fully, completing the circuit. The next refinement is subtle but critical, because even receiving must be paired with decisive action. Even abundance must be paired with movement. The universe favors those who act deliberately on the opportunities they allow in. You have prepared mind, body, and spirit. You have stabilized emotion and identity. You have mastered giving and receiving. Now it is time to align all action with purpose. Chapter 14. Trust accelerates timing. Timing is not random. It is not luck. It is not a matter of pushing harder or waiting longer. Timing is a reflection of trust. Doubt delays. Trust accelerates. To think richly, refuse to allow impatience or fear to dictate when opportunity arrives. Every thought of it's too slow or I am behind slows the system. Replace it with, everything arrives at the perfect moment. Say it now. Everything arrives at the perfect moment. Say it again, letting it settle into your awareness. Everything arrives at the perfect moment. Doubt compresses flow. It produces tension. It forces action out of alignment. It fractures opportunity. Trust expands flow. It opens channels. It multiplies responses. It aligns supply with readiness. Notice how timing appears in everyday life. An entrepreneur launches a product. They worry it is too early or too late. They hesitate. Opportunities lag. Then they release doubt and fully trust the process. Momentum builds. Clients appear unexpectedly. Revenue accelerates. A creative imagines a breakthrough idea. They question the market, the audience, the timing. Progress is slow. Then they trust that the right moment exists. The right collaborators arrive. The perfect platform emerges. The idea scales effortlessly. Trust is not passive. It is active alignment with reality. It allows the system to respond efficiently. It recognizes that supply, opportunity, and timing are synchronized naturally. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It trusts that timing will always reflect alignment. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Doubt delays. Trust compresses. Hesitation fragments. Faith concentrates. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of conscious trust. The discipline of releasing control over timing. The discipline of observing the system and allowing it to respond naturally. For the next 7 days, practice this intentionally. Whenever impatience arises, pause. Breathe. Say inwardly, everything arrives at the perfect moment. Notice the effect on your decisions. Notice how alignment flows. Notice how opportunities that seem distant appear quickly. Even small actions are accelerated when trust replaces doubt. Calls return faster. Payments arrive sooner. Collaborators step in at precisely the right time. Say it again now, letting it resonate fully. Everything arrives at the perfect moment. Trust does not mean passivity. It does not mean waiting idly. It means acting in alignment without forcing results. It means confidence in natural timing. Real-world manifestation accelerates when trust is present. An investor receives a perfect deal weeks earlier than expected. A professional lands a client before the scheduled meeting. A business owner sees revenue appear without chasing it. This chapter consolidates another layer of abundance. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. You accept support effortlessly. You earn in harmony with identity. You allow supply through relaxation. You remain steady, producing consistent flow. You receive fully. You act decisively. And now, you trust that timing is perfect. The final refinement is transformative. Because all of this culminates in one truth. Abundance is effortless when you align fully. Every principle practiced flows together as one system. You have prepared mind, body, and spirit. You have stabilized emotions, identity, and focus. You have mastered giving and receiving. You have allowed timing to be perfect. Now it is time for the ultimate consolidation. Chapter 15. Wealth is a relationship, not a destination. Wealth is not a place. It is not a finish line. It is not a box to check or a goal to achieve. Wealth is a relationship. It is an ongoing exchange. It responds to how you interact with it. It mirrors your awareness. It reflects your respect. It grows naturally when treated as living, dynamic, and conscious. To think richly, refuse to see money as something to chase, hoard, or conquer. Every thought that treats income as a trophy limits flow. Replace it with, I am in right relationship with money. Say it now. I am in right relationship with money. Say it again, letting it resonate in your mind and body. I am in right relationship with money. Consider the patterns of a relationship. You cannot demand respect. You cannot demand attention. You cannot force loyalty. You give respect. You pay attention. You act with awareness. And the exchange flourishes naturally. Money operates the same way. It responds to your recognition. It responds to your alignment. It responds to your steadiness, trust, clarity, and intention. Notice real-world examples. A business owner treats income like a scoreboard. They chase clients obsessively. They worry about every payment. Revenue fluctuates. Stress dominates. Then they shift their perspective. They treat wealth like a partner. They respect the process. They acknowledge supply at every step. They act intentionally and consistently. The flow stabilizes. Momentum grows. Another example. A freelancer focuses solely on earning. They minimize the experience of giving value. They overextend themselves in desperation. Projects stall. Then they consciously engage with abundance as a relationship. They honor contracts. They respect timing. They allow themselves to receive fully. They attract opportunities effortlessly. Wealth is responsive. It is not inert. It moves toward alignment. It accelerates when treated consciously. The creative mind understands this instinctively. The creative mind knows no competition. It creates what it wants without taking away from others. It engages with money as a living exchange. It values supply. It recognizes opportunity. It participates without forcing. When you move from competition to creation, the universe stops mirroring your fear and begins amplifying your ideas. Fear fractures relationship. Trust strengthens it. Recognition builds it. Steadiness multiplies it. Here is the discipline for this chapter. It's about discipline. The discipline of treating money consciously. The discipline of acting intentionally in every exchange. The discipline of maintaining awareness and respect, regardless of scale. For the next 7 days, practice this deliberately. Each time you earn, pause. Acknowledge the exchange. Each time you spend, pause. Respect the flow. Each time you invest, pause. Act with clarity and intention. Say inwardly with each interaction, I am in right relationship with money. Notice the transformation. Notice how abundance is no longer chaotic. Notice how flow multiplies when approached as dialogue rather than conquest. Receiving, giving, acting, trusting, appreciating. Every chapter's principle comes together here. All the anchors you have practiced now integrate. Supply is established. You are within the flow. You recognize abundance. You align with ease. You expect good. You create rather than compete. You direct it precisely. You stabilize it with gratitude. You accept support effortlessly. You earn in harmony with identity. You allow supply through relaxation. You remain steady. You receive fully. You act decisively. You trust perfect timing. And now, you engage in a conscious, living relationship with wealth. Say it again now with clarity, presence, and certainty. I am in right relationship with money. Wealth is not a destination. It is a reflection of alignment. It is a response to clarity. It is a mirror of your mind, body, and choices. Honor it. Respect it. Allow it. Participate consciously. This final chapter completes your transformation. Everything you have practiced compounds naturally. All principles are interconnected. All anchors reinforce each other. You are no longer chasing wealth. You are receiving it. You are in right relationship with it. You are abundant because abundance is your natural state. The next step is to integrate this knowledge fully, to live it, to embody it, to act consistently from this understanding. In closing, you now understand something fundamental. Money has never been withholding itself from you. Life has never been working against you. The flow has always been intact. What changes everything is not force, it is recognition. Not pressure, but permission. Not striving, but alignment. From this moment forward, you move differently. You expect support. You notice opportunity. You allow supply to respond to you. This law does not require belief. It only responds to awareness. So here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, move as someone who knows they are supported. Make decisions from calm certainty. Speak from sufficiency. Act without apology. Notice how money responds. Notice how ease increases. Notice how quickly life confirms what you now understand. You were never meant to lack. You were meant to align. An alignment, once seen, cannot be unseen. Stay in the flow.